How's everyone doing? Welcome to the final episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. The final day of this week is tomorrow going to be a free fall Friday. Now get ready for tomorrow. Papa Powell going on the microphone. Papa Powell going on the microphone again. Get ready for tomorrow. So I do have a watch list ready, but if you guys are ready, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support. This is your boy TraderPrad. TraderPrad. But if you guys are ready for this show to get started, why don't we dive into the full screen and hit that like and subscribe. My buttons don't work. Oh my goodness. God damn stupid Stream Deck. Anyways, how are you guys doing, chat? We are here just having some technical issues. Stream Deck does not want to work, so I'm just gonna quit Stream Deck and restart it again every time the software. Sometimes 50% it wants to work, 50% doesn't want to work, but that's also probably because my OBS, maybe if I open my OBS after my Stream Deck doesn't get recognized by the OBS. I think that's the issue there. I think I might have just figured out why sometimes it doesn't work and why sometimes it does. Anyways, that's a thing for me to back test. Hey, always back test every single strategy. That's a thing for me to back test and figure out if that's why it's happening, and if that's so, I will not be having that issue moving forward. But we're here not to talk about my technical difficulties. We're here to talk about the market and its possible technical difficulties, right? Today, we had a lot of fear in the market. Market selling off a little bit off the open. Later on throughout the day, you had even more fear coming in from the geopolitical terrors that's been going on, the fear in Middle East, Iran, Israel beef that's been going on. Today they were all out attacks and missile launches, Iron Dome defense and all crazy stuff. Market getting pushed down, some of the stocks flushing to the south side. But somehow market actually managed to move back up going into the close, which was, you know, wow, pretty good to see the market do that on a day like today with the amount of fear that you think this whole war situation could be escalating. What if China invades Taiwan next? What if Ukraine still keeps getting they're still under a battle over there, but what if Russia starts a battle with somebody else? So like, so much could happen, and watching the buyers coming in and defend the market is just marvelous. No matter what, the only thing that we care about as day traders is volatility, and there is so much of it. If you are looking for the setups to take advantage of, And if you took advantage of those setups, just purely clean 5-minute chart patterns, you had so many opportunities to the short side, to the long side. If you were mainly long biased, you could have made money. If you were mainly short biased, you could have made money. So today was just a crazy day, a one-off event, and this is how we're gonna start October. Let's go. I can't wait for it. Let's get the volatility wrapping up. Let's get the market moving around, and let's make some money, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about stocks, because obviously market moved quite a bit. We're gonna have some new levels on the markets itself. Well, maybe not the markets, because they managed to bounce, but we're gonna have new levels on some stocks to talk about. For example, Nike reported earnings today after hours. We'll go take a look at that. US oil, USO, even names inside the US in the oil industry, which are like XOM, CVX, what else, HAL, all probably rent up to the north side. I actually traded XOM today. Was looking for a way bigger move, but eventually that got stuffed after the little, well, maybe I shouldn't say little, but the conflict between Iran and Israel got matched pretty evenly with the Iron Dome defense, and not many casualties happened. And right after Israel said, hey, we can now let the people back out of their bunkers, and right after that the market started holding its base a little bit. Then you started seeing the US oil pull back, and some of the oil names that were rallying also pulled back, but opportunities were there. So we'll talk about oil names, defense names, RTX, Raytheon Technologies, previously Raytheon Technologies, Lockheed Martin. So anytime we have potential war catalyst, you always see defense names going up. Even Boeing, which has been under a lot of pressure, even Boeing catching a little bit of sympathy to the upside. However, Boeing's not really in our watch list. We're more so caring about RTX and LMT. Along with that, we got Chinese sector. Even though China, I expected China to do nothing for the overall week, China started off today with a banger move to the north side. So that was a pretty big move. So we'll take a look at the Chinese sector to see if there's any fun over there for us to play with. And then obviously our favorite sectors after that, the semiconductor and the Bitcoin. Let's see who's in the chat at the moment. We got TH. What's up, TH? A name that we haven't seen in a long time. I apologize, that picture is coming out all blurred and blacked out. But Victoria is in the house, and we also got another person with the same almost 3-letter, well, 4 or 5 letters. Victoria and Victor. I love it. Right back to back in the chat. Victor coming in saying, lots of action today. I look forward to hear what you traded. Yes, sir. I'm going to show you guys what I traded today, how I try to take advantage of the market, and how I'm looking to take advantage of it tomorrow. Good to see you in the chat, Victor. Amazing stream today. Victor had a double stream today. For those of you who caught me in Victor's chat and the Victor's stream was actually lots of information about Nike, lots of information about the Chinese, even oil names, the possible conflicts. So if you guys checked out his streams, I'm sure you got a bunch of tidbits. If you haven't, make sure you check it out tomorrow, 9 a.m. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. Anytime I'm saying a streaming schedule, I automatically think about my own streaming schedule, and my brain just diverts. Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. from Victor. Check out his channel. Starting at the top of the watch list, I'm gonna have to open up Benzinga. Let me quickly open up Benzinga here so we can take a look at the watch list. For the meantime, we're gonna take a look at the chart. So Nike has been making a little bit of a reversal recently, ever since the CEO change news catalyst came into play. But the report today, from what I've been hearing on Victor's stream on my way home, which is actually a pretty amazing time to stream, Victor. I think you should stream more often at 5 o'clock, because usually that's the time I'm on the public transit back home. So listening to someone talk about stocks, taking looking at the action on earnings names and so on, that's awesome. So I got to catch up on all of the moves. So a little bit of a spoiler for me over there, because I usually get to know about the moves when I get home and get ready to talk about stream. So a little bit of a spoiler, the stock did go to the downside on somewhat of a negative earnings report. If you guys remember remember me talking about it yesterday. I said, look, the CEO change news is great, but the earnings report is not going to reflect that yet. And the market's all about the future. We have a lot of people, Victor himself, who's invested in Nike and think that the Elliott Hill catalyst is going to be very bullish in the future. You know, the Adidas kind of took over the market a little bit, but then they lost that market share really quick thanks to Kanye. Because of Kanye, they won the market share, and then because of Kanye, they're gonna lose the market share once again, and then that's gonna go right back into Nike. I have so many retro Jordans that I never wear anymore because I don't want to, you know, scuff them up and so on. I have a couple viewers who actually sent me, what's going on with Benzinga here? Am I not logged in? Oh, Benzinga. So Nike, you know, they're gonna get their market share back. I have a couple viewers who actually sent me Nike shoes when I used to work for Trader TV Live on their channel. They sent me Nike shoes, and I still have those shoes. I still, you know, take pretty good care of them and so on. They have a couple scuffs on them, but I still take pretty good care of them. I love my Nike shoes. Let me quickly set up. There we go, I figured it out. So Nike reporting earnings today. The headline was that the revenue missed and the EPS were beat. So let's go dive into it a little bit more by clicking on this tab, and that gives us the whole report. So let's read it. Nike reported first quarter revenue of 11.59 billion, missing estimates of 11.65. I'm not gonna say that's that big of a miss overall. A little bit of a miss, yes, but not that big of a miss. First quarter earnings coming in at 70 cents per share, beating estimates of 52 cents per share. Now that's quite a bit of a beat over there on the EPS side. Nike has now come short of revenue estimates in 4 of the past 5 quarters, according to Benzinga. Total revenue was down 10% year to year. Now that's an important number. North American sales were down 11%. Greater China sales were down 4%. European sales fell by 13%. Asia Pacific and Latin American sales were down by 7%. Those are basically the growth, and so far those numbers are not showing any growth at all, and that is why we're seeing a nice decline on the stock price today so far. Let's continue reading. Nike direct revenues were 4.7 billion in the quarter, down by 13%. Nike brand revenues totaled to 11.1 billion, down 10%, and wholesale revenues were down 8% to 6.4 billion. Inventories came in at 8.3 billion, down 5% year over year. The company ended the quarter with 10.3 billion in cash. That's quite a bit of money on cash. That's pretty good. Equivalents and short-term investments. Nike first quarter resulted largely met our expectations. A comeback at this scale takes time, but we see early wins from momentum in key sports accelerating our pace of newness and innovation, says the executive vice president and CFO of Nike. Looks like the CEO hasn't yet taken his full transition, still going through possible transition stages. Our teams are energized as Elliott Hill returns to team lead Nike's next stage of growth. So that's the new CEO right there. Hill is a long-time Nike veteran, is set to take over for existing CEO John Danaher on October 14th. Nike noted it will address its approach to guidance moving forward on the company's earnings call scheduled at 5 p.m. Given its reporting earnings in the midst of the CEO transition, Nike said it returned approximately $1.8 billion to shareholders in the first quarter. I'm guessing that's buybacks, including dividends and share repurchase. Okay, gotcha. The company noted that a total of 99.7 million shares have been repurchased under its $18 billion buyback program for the total cost approximately of 10.2 billion. So far, you know, anytime a company repurchase program is, I guess, a good thing, because it shows you that they are believing in themselves and they're able to repurchase their shares. They want to invest in themselves again, buy those shares back and lock them up, maybe give them to potential new customers, but maybe give them to even the new CEO and so on. And dividends is also pretty good to see, right? So Nike does have a dividend. People like dividend companies. People like dividend brands that you've been possibly hearing about all of your life, right? The Nike checkmark, one of the most recognizable brand across the board. So much so that people even try to knock them off. Anytime you see a knockoff of a company like Nike, you know that they are worthy enough to do it because people go out there and buy these products. So Nike, pretty big brand, but what I'm not really liking at all is the lack of growth on a single sector. Everything was down. North America, China, Europe, everything was down. Asia Pacific, Latin America. So looks like they're gonna have quite a bit of a way to battle back here. Not sure what they're gonna have to do, right? I'm not a marketing genius. I'm not a brand expert of any sense. If I was, my brand would be 10 times bigger. But so I can't really explain what I want to see from Nike to be ready to look for a long. Other than the fact that, you know, yeah, the CEO has changed, but we want to see at least things starting to change a little bit. I want to see more Nike in my face. I don't think I have Nike in my face as much as it used to be back in the day. You know, when I was a kid, it was Nike advertisements all the time, but now I guess I don't really watch not public TV, but cable TV that much for me to really see any advertisements. But even then, you would expect, you know, back in the day, you would just see posters of Jordan, Nike, shoes, whatever, so much during malls, anywhere you go. I just feel like I don't see that much of anything of those anymore. You don't see anything of these brands, and more so kids these days. If you notice the brand of clothing kids are wearing, especially because I take a lot of public transit, you know, it used to be back in the day when I went to university and high school, you would see a lot of Adidas tracksuits, Nike gear. People would wear Nike stuff along with their Nike shoes. So it would be a lot of Nike, but now it's changing to a lot of this hipster cool stuff. It's like essentials, fear of God. People are moving more into these somewhat of a hype brands, Supreme, North Face, right? So I feel like these hype skater brands have kind of come in and carved their own piece of the pie away from Nike, because back then, if you wanted skater gear, you really didn't have too many brands to go to. You went to Nike, you went to Adidas. Even though they weren't really skater, you would buy them to go to skater. And then eventually skater brands just came out and carved their own piece, to the point where, you know, I'm actually doubting at this point to see how they can fight for that market share back. How can they make Nike, obviously shoes is the main component for them, but I want to see more, I guess, advertisements from them at some way. I'm not sure what I really want to see, but at the end of the day, still a great company. You know, it's almost like a Boeing for me, too big to fail type of company. Not that this company can't easily be replaced, like Boeing can't be replaced, right? It's one of the biggest airliners in the world. But in the same idea, the brand is too big to be replaced. So eventually, the lower this goes, the better and juicier the investment prices get for this position. If you look at Nike for the moving averages, they should all line up right around those $80 area. So here we got the 20, 50, and the 200. The 20 being over there, the 50 and the 200 right here. So that's the 200. No, that's the 50, that's the 200. We'll pull it up on a better chart, but the reason why I'm looking at Nike at the moment is ATR of $1.98. So let's go take a look at the stock. I want to take a look at the moving averages real quick. So let's go take a look at the moving averages on Nike on the daily chart. So most of the moving averages do come in around $83 to $80. Looking short much below that on a report like this isn't really ideal. You know, these are investment prices at this point for this position, and Nike's PE, that's a little high. It's not really 12, 13 PEs. 23 is fairly high, but if you believe that, you know, Nike will double, triple its value in the next 5-10 years and go back to its glory days into 170, 180, also make new all-time highs, take over brand recognition, and just rock the world, then these are investment prices. So the lower the stock goes, honestly, it's gonna be harder to think short for me as a day trader. Let's actually zoom into the daily chart here real quick and see where it bounced off of. And yeah, as I expected, right in front of $80, it just found some buying. Now we could just be stuck in this $5 area where we have this last week's low that we clearly are holding under in the after hours. So we got an active seller. We'll be interested to see if we manage to reclaim this area in pre-market and actually find buying above here, at which point it just becomes a no-brainer long at that point. You know, that report was fairly bearish, but the change in the CEO catalyst is still so bullish that buyers, investment hedge funds, the big money is pouring. They're just dying to buy up the shares of the stock anywhere above 85 and higher. So if that's the case, I want to join that buying pressure and ride the stock to the upside. But if it's still being stuffed under 85 tomorrow, then it's almost a no-brainer short around 85. But I wouldn't really bother to make a trade in the middle of these ranges. This is just noise for me. So it either goes back into $80. I'm playing 80 under over and 85 under over. Those are the basic idea at the moment. Pre-market also dictates what levels are more important. Maybe it's 86 instead of 85. Maybe it's 79 instead of $80. So pre-market is also very important to see how the stock sets up. For example, if you actually traded Apple today, which was such a good short, I just wasn't focused on the short side too heavy right off the open, so I had to wait for pullbacks to get short into. So here's Apple. Here is yesterday's low. Right now, yesterday's low is kind of just murky with the titles over here, because yesterday's low was exactly today's high off the open. So if you notice in pre-market, the stock flushes with the rest of the market, consolidates into this area that's right above yesterday's low. We open just below yesterday's low, and then we struggle to trade around yesterday's low. You could have basically taken this breakout or that pullback test after the open and then enjoyed the short side on Apple today. I mean, that's a trade to write up. Instead, here's some of the trades that I actually took on the day today. So let me show you some of the trades I took. Here's my trade on the S&P 500. Like I said, I wasn't too focused on the short side off the open, so I waited for the market to really show me some weakness on pullbacks. So on any pullback that the market had, I was able to find a spot to really push some size and look for the downside move. This area really looked like we were gonna crack the market, but that crack eventually started stalling out. The market really stopped having that selling pressure, and we had the reversal patterns kind of coming in. So I just said, nope, I'm done. I'm taking my money, I'm running away. So that was a quick little short scalp on the S&P 500 to the short side. Here was one of the bigger shorts that I had today. This was Nvidia. So shorted Nvidia on the break of the initial low a day for a bigger ride to the downside. Was looking for this bigger move. I could have reloaded into this 108 area also, sorry, 118 area also, but I just ignored it at that point because I was too busy with other names. I had tons of other stocks that I was trading today. For example, I had a quick little Microsoft scalp, and then I tried to get short on Microsoft. I got gypped out a little bit. That one's annoying. Then I had SQQ long. Then I had an XOM long. This was the one I was talking about. XOM ripped right off the open. It was almost impossible to catch it unless you just said, screw it, I'm punching long. But going into a solid resistance level on Nvidia today, sorry, not Nvidia, XOM today, where we ran into the 120 area and struggled below 120. Then we go back into VWAP and we bounce from VWAP. I was looking for a long right in this area, and I never got filled. I should have just crossed over and just hit the hit the offers and just taken the size I wanted to, because my risk was so tight. I could have taken as much size as I wanted, and then I could have added more on the breakout and really look for the bigger move. But right around over here, the market for the US oil just kind of stalled out, so I just had to take a quick little loss on this. I didn't really size too much on the breakout because I didn't get the size I wanted here, so the loss on this one didn't even matter for me on the day. Here was a nice play on Tesla, but that one quickly turned back around. Tesla sells into 255 and kind of stalls in front of 255. Then the rest of the market flushes below 255 or 256, sorry, sells below 256, but immediately gets back above 256. So I get long. I get a move into 258. I don't take profits, and now I'm watching this position going a whole dollar against me. This was a monster short today on the market, but then again, a big bounce too. As I was saying, there were so many opportunities for you to look long on the market, for you to look short on the market. You could have made money either directions as long as you were being patient and really look for your levels. Had I just done the same strategy here, I would have been able to catch the long. I would have been able to catch the long later on also, but at that point I was just kind of, you know what, I'm done with my day. Nvidia kind of made my day. What did I close a trade? I closed the trade. Yeah, I did close the trade. SPY made my day and Nvidia made my day, so I'm just gonna take that gift and walk away from it. I'm gonna be ready to see what levels we can play with tomorrow. So tomorrow being tomorrow, where we got lots of potential opportunities. Let's go take a look at really quick on YouTube. Hello YouTube. While I do this, let me quickly hit the add button. So if you are watching this, you will get hit with some ads. I apologize, but this is just to help with the YouTube algorithm. That way it promotes my streams to more people. That's honestly what it is, because I heard that if you click these buttons, it sees that you are showing ads to people, and then it brings more people, puts your stream out more in front of people. So let me just quickly do this while we find the stream we want. For those of you who don't get ads, we're gonna quickly go to Think with Bookmap on YouTube, find the futures stream, and see where the futures are right now. Is that's NQ. Okay, let's go to NQ. Looks like we did pop up a little bit on the market. Okay. All right, that pop is done. Hopefully you guys are back from the ad. Victor saying nice move on Nvidia. Thank you, sir. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. More people join the 5 p.m. EST than in the morning. I guess that makes sense because, you know, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. usually you're at work. You either have like some work meetings or whatever. But the 5 o'clock one, you have a little bit more open time to go on YouTube. Maybe even you can think about maybe doing something around lunchtime, you know, instead of 9 o'clock, because 9 o'clock all you get is basically day traders coming to your stream. I'm guessing 9 o'clock basically all you have is day traders coming to your stream, and you don't really have that much investment crowd, because that's more day trading time period, right? So the investment time period I would guess will be more around 12 o'clock, around 5 o'clock. So I think that would be pretty good times. You should check out on the YouTube stats algorithm. Inside the YouTube settings on your studio, they have like all the stats based on when is the most active time period for your channel, and that will tell you exactly when you should go live and when to not go live and so on. You should check those stats. Honestly, I know my stats, but sadly my time period for when I get home and so on doesn't fit for me. Sadly doesn't fit for me. So looks like the market did go up initially, but flushed right back into VWAP. I'm guessing that purple line is VWAP, flushed right back into VWAP, and now we're holding slightly above VWAP on the NASDAQ futures. I'm expecting nothing but the same on the S&P 500, pretty much the same on the S&P 500 also. So market doing nothing much at the moment. It'll be interesting to see if we open around today's low, or if we open around today's VWAP, or if we open around today's high, because all of these levels are very key. What we do around these levels will be very indicative. Do we still have fear from the whole US, or not US, from the whole Iran and Israel conflict? I think JD Vance and whoever the other vice president is supposed to be, I don't even know who the other vice president is, they are having a debate today, and Trump was just at some conference in Milwaukee. Well, maybe not conference, but some he was giving a speech in Milwaukee, if I remember correctly. So that based on those comments, we'll see if the market moves around a little bit. But usually the day after the conflict day, which was, I guess what you'd say today was a big conflict day. The day after, you don't really see much happening in terms of conflict itself, unless there's some crazy shit happens overnight. We don't know, so we gotta be ready for anything wild. It's usually a long. That's all I'm saying. If you guys saw the market on the Russian-Ukraine invasion, market ripped to the north side. So it could be a long over here, but if more attacks actually happen, then that could go to the downside. Then that could be the downside move over there. And if the market's going down because of all those fears, oops, where am I typing? And if the market goes down on all those fears, then investments like USO, United States Oil Fund, XLE, which is an energy ETF, all of these oil names, XOM, CVX, INDO, one of the more crazy names when it comes to these conflict time periods. I think in April, when Israel and Iran or one of those neighboring countries have been having conflicts, the same thing happened. INDO started going absolutely crazy. Let's actually zoom back over here to previous April. Boom, right there. Started going absolutely bonkers. And then we had another little crazy session. And now again, we're going wild again. So that's a pretty big volume. That's more volume than we brought in on this type of craziness. So INDO going absolutely wild today. Will be fun to see how this one goes into the next few days. Either we get a big mean reversion, and that's a big short opportunity. If the whole US oil industry starts to pull back, INDO short might have to be your top priority as a day trade. This might have to be your top priority, but you have to be careful, because this could very easily turn around on you on a single news article that new bombs are dropping and you know, crazy shit's happening across the border over here, and this might just halt up on you to the point where you can't even get out of your position, and you'll just have to take a big loss on it. So if you're playing shorts on this one, just be ready for all the wild situations that can happen. But if the US oil is pulling back tomorrow and the rest of the market is going up tomorrow, then I think INDO should be a big priority for the short side. If you are scared to trade INDO, then you can just go trade XOM or CVX. XOM is actually at a better level, I'd say, on the daily for the short side than CVX. CVX is a little choppy on the daily. It's not really as clean as XOM is. So if you pull up XOM here on the daily chart, let me just get rid of these green lines. If you pull up XOM over here on the daily chart, you can see how we have almost a solid high into $119 and $120.50. So about a 50 cent to a dollar range from 120 to 121. We have somewhat of a either resistance or holding above 120, 121 opens up a support, and then we start rallying into all-time high territories on XOM. Is that all-time high? Should be all-time high. Yeah, all-time high. So right back into all-time high zones on this stock. Now, The only thing that's causing this position to do stuff like this is obviously the conflict. So if the conflict news is dying down, we shouldn't really have buying above 120. So any second we stay under one, maybe not second, if we have a good short under 120, buyers are not able to hold XOM above 120. This is also a very easy short tomorrow to keep an eye on, especially if the whole sector is pulling back. But if the whole sector is looking strong, you could just go long on this one and enjoy your ride into all-time high and potentially even above all-time high. Today you got a pretty decent move, one ATR move. It ended $2.71 higher than yesterday. One ATR on in the stock right now is $2.67. So basically one ATR move to the upside, and another ATR move from here to here is basically another to the all-time high. So basic 120 long into 124, or 120 short back into the downside. So XOM high priority. CVX, I would only watch CVX. I wouldn't trade CVX. I'm just not that interested to day trade this position. XOM is just way cleaner and higher liquidity than CVX. INDO obviously the highest of the priority in this basket, but the scariest of the names also in this basket. So you want to be very careful. Continuing in the same sector, actually I want to look at XLE. Yeah, I don't want to do anything with XLE. I'm going to keep watching XLE as a barometer, but I don't, maybe there's something above 90, but then you have a wall into 92, then another wall into 94. So like, although this is like an anomaly situation, we do have a complete anomaly. What happened in April for XLE? Yeah, it did go a little crazy. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But XLE is just a barometer, not really looking to trade XLE. Continuing in this sector, LMT. Now that's a monster move. That's a 2 ATR move. I see LMT ATR at $9. Yeah, I guess you could say it's $9, but you know, that's pretty rare. Maybe one day. This has been pretty crazy. Okay. Yeah, maybe it has been catching some traction, including today's move. That's a pretty big volume candle over there. Whatever happened on that side, causing all of this heat going off to the upside, and obviously today's action adding more fuel to the fire. LMT, man, wow, 2 ATR move to the upside, more than 2 ATR move to the upside, 3.6% up today, taking out $600, making a new all-time high of $611.49. Now obviously this one's liquidity is going to be very, very trashed. It's a $600 position. The stock 30-day average is less than 1 million shares. We did bring in 2.36 million shares today, but that doesn't mean it's going to do the same tomorrow. It is potentially, it could do the same thing tomorrow, because today you could be taking a look at it being as day 1. So if we get day 2 tomorrow, it should potentially have a little bit of volume. It should give us some fun, tighter liquidity, but the spreads on LMT are going to be insane. The spreads are on RTX are also going to be the ugly spreads, but this stock also making a nice move into all-time high. If I remember correctly, that should be all-time high. Yes, it is. So 3-bar breakout on the monthly chart. That's pretty good. That's a solid 3-bar breakout on the monthly chart. Potentially getting ready to go much higher. Can we get such higher? So high. Kanye, baby. I love Kanye. RTX. So RTX breaking out. LMT has been breaking out. This one's getting ready to create some sort of a cup and handle pattern, I guess. Is this a little bit of a cup and handle pattern? Then you got a bigger cup and handle pattern. As my good friend Michael Noss says, buy smiley faces and sell frowny faces. The frowny face hasn't formed yet on RTX. So looking at RTX to fly off to the north side if this conflict scare is still there. We have that 124.50, 125 to kind of keep an eye on this position. On LMT, you know, I'll just keep a watch on LMT. Maybe I'll sympathy trade LMT and RTX depending on seeing which one's the ring leader. At the moment, we could just see a shift in momentum from LMT being the ring leader to RTX kind of taking over. Because if I remember correctly, Raytheon actually creates the Iron Dome. Hello? There we go. Why is that link? Oh, the wars. Okay, gotcha. I'm pretty sure Raytheon, or was it Lockheed Martin, who helped them? Ah! Oh, wait. Okay. That's the only mention. I'm almost certain that they deleted it. I'm certain that they deleted it because it did say at one point that RTX helps them with the technology. I saw it. I saw it at one point. There we go. Boom. There we go. So it is RTX. Joint venture with the Rafael Area Protection, which is obviously the Israeli company, I guess. Israeli company in partnership with RTX. So RTX just looking way juicier at the moment, and obviously way cheaper in price than LMT. So LMT gotta keep this one on watch, gotta keep RTX on watch if we have more geopolitical tensions rising and more fear mongering and war mongering. Good for market, good for day trading. So volatility going in. Let's actually go take a look at VIX since we're talking about volatility. Boom, back above 19. Exactly what I want to see. I've been crying for volatility to get back above 19, and we are finally back, baby. We're so back. We're so back. So let's get the juices flowing. Better pop in 5 zins in the morning and be locked in, boys. You have to be locked in. Talking about being locked in, market completely locked out, but is still moving to the north side. Chinese market, wawa is all I can say. I did not expect China to be this strong today. Baba taking out the previous day high. This is completely rejecting that down move and you know, blowing out the shorts. So now you have almost insane long. If you guys remember my stream yesterday, I said if the FXI market is actually looking bullish, there is one stock that you can really look long, and that's off of 105. Did I not say that? You guys remember I said there's one stock that you can really look long off of 105 if the sector is really strong. Double bottomed into 105 and basically ripped to the upside. Shout out to anybody who had this trade. I personally thought that the Chinese market wouldn't do jack shit all because their market's closed. So me having an extremely strong bias, did not even look at the Chinese stocks today. I was fairly busy with the conflict names and war names, right? Oil, USO, XOM, even semiconductor names, Micron, TSM. I was fairly busy with, you know, sectors that were moving. But here was a sector that I ignored, and you know, I feel pretty shitty about it. However, I still think, right? I don't know what I don't know, but I still think it very much does an absolute nothing burger going into the rest of the week. We just chop around back and forth and end flat on the week. But if the setup is there to look for the long again, then you don't want to ignore it. So if the pullbacks are getting respected, if Friday's high gets bought back up on Baidu, right? Even same thing kind of applies for Baba. If Friday's high, which is already marked off, which is 109.50, gets respected on any pullbacks, or if we're finding buying above 109.50, it's finding buying at 110 and holding cleanly above 110, then you gotta be ready to look for a long as a day trade. This is a very bullish move, but I'm expecting this move to end up being somewhere in this range because their market's closed. But I could be very much wrong as I was today. I could be very easily wrong as I was today, and we start rallying to the upside on some of these positions as the Chinese traders who love trading, trust me, and I know when I say this, these Chinese traders love trading so much. For example, Bill Huang, right? They love putting risk on. They don't want to take the 5-day vacation their market gives them. They are now flooding our market, pushing Baba up here. That way, 5 days later, when Baba opens there, it gaps the shit out of their market over there. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, okay? So we'll see what happens. If they want to gap the crap out of these stocks on their side, they could very easily do by just pumping the crap out of it over here. But if what I think will happen is just chop and back and forth and basically ending net neutral for the week, that is more likely the scenario that I can picture happening. But always on watch. Today was not on watch, so I shouldn't say always, but very much on watch. The Chinese sector, for example, XPEB, Li Auto rallied insanely to the upside today. This one was a pretty good call out too. I said 26.50. I actually lost on the stock today because I looked for the short after the stock looked like it was holding under 26.50 right here. So it looked like we're gonna stuff under, get below 26.50. Neo was also selling off, and I think Neo is the ringleader usually, but today completely wasn't. Neo was much weaker, and Li Auto and XPED were much stronger. But at the end of the day, you know, the setup was still there. I said under over 26.50. If you were short on 26.50, you would have lost, but if you played long on above 26.50, you would have won. So tomorrow, possible longs on these names again, but I will be watching very patiently to see how the volume comes into this position. Today we actually had decent volume on these names across the Chinese sector. We had decent volume on these names. So if the volume continues to play a factor, then we can look for an opportunity. But if volume starts to die down as the Chinese market is closed, obviously, then you just kind of want to stay back. Li Auto is going crazy, and the fact that these downside candles got immediately bought right back up, that's shutting out the downside. That's actually closing out the downside on these markets. So that's even more insane. So people who are long on the Chinese names, like if you own Baba, if you own JD, Pinduoduo, you're loving it at the moment. You're absolutely loving it. I mean, what is it? People were so worried about being down 40%. Now they're up basically back to break even, and it took no time. It took no time. And I know a lot of people who actually were buying these dips on Pinduoduo, so shout out to them. You could have gone long right there on Pinduoduo after it got back above VWAP and started to hold above VWAP. This is a setup from our good friends at Alpha Trends on Twitter. Their book is about anchored VWAP. So this is the anchored VWAP from earnings. We were holding under earnings anchored VWAP for the longest time, that eventually we got above it. We hold pretty solidly above anchored VWAP for a few days, and then we ripped back up. Obviously the news catalyst, the stimulus catalyst, and everything helped it out. But I promise you, if it didn't, your risk would not have been that much lower. So had you taken the loss, you just walk away from it. That's potentially something I'll be watching to see how Nike reacts. So let's actually go to Nike real quick, and I'm going to throw in the earnings anchored VWAP on this name. Eventually, we actually start holding above the earnings anchored VWAP, potentially a trade there. Okay, so going back, we talked about the Chinese sector. The next one is the semiconductors. Let's go through some of the names in the semiconductor basket. We have SMCI, which is now at a stock split. We're trading at $40. Tomorrow, I am looking for, you can see how today's low was exactly 40. Tomorrow, I'm looking for that under over 40. Either we get below 40 and we open up some real downside on this stock. The stock characteristics haven't really changed, right? If you multiply 40 times 10, it's basically a $400 name still, and the valuation for it to belong into the $400 price point doesn't justify. You got a lot of illegal litigations going on. You got a DOJ probe. You're you know, getting previous employees whistleblowing. You're getting short reports written about you. So there's so much negative about SMCI until they really file the case for their 10K report. And even when they do file their 10K report, I'm pretty sure it's going to get scrutinized very, very hard. So SMCI is going to be interested to see what happens once we actually do take out that $40 area. If we do take it out tomorrow, I'm going to enjoy that short opportunity. Hopefully we don't do it in pre-market. That's going to be very, very sad. ARM moving back to one of the more significant levels from previous. That's the 135. So we almost pushed into 135 today. Didn't really manage to get into that price point. We were just short by about 85 cents from 135, but very important level previously. Let's see if that level comes back into play today, or sorry, tomorrow. And then if we do break below it, if the whole semiconductor sector today, Nvidia was fairly weak, 3.6% down back into that 116, 117 area. Micron going below 100 if I remember correctly. Yeah, going below 100, but still not back to the prices I want to see it at. I was looking for 100 to hold. It did not, and I stayed away from it. So Micron, you know, getting juicier and juicier the deeper it pulls back. It had a pretty strong reaction off of earnings, but that strong earnings reaction being matched with a lot of hate. So Micron, we need to see some love being poured into it before we even think long. Right now it's pulling back pretty hard. So if we get to short the stock on pullbacks, that's something to keep an eye on. But the under over, in my opinion, is somewhere around still $100. Today's low is basically 99, so somewhere around $100 you're still playing that under over. And if we do get below that, then the gap close is the main level that I'm waiting to see. Either we bounce off that gap close or not. TSM not getting love either. I mean, it did have a pretty good rally with the semiconductor sector with the what was the main catalyst for this? This was the Chinese catalyst that really took TSM to the upside, but that got absolutely smacked back down with the rest of the sector, rest of the market. So not much love being shown to TSM. Possible more bleeding for this name too, so looking for pops to find shorts into. Intel going back into the solid resistance high that it had, which now it could potentially use as a support. So let's see if $22, we are 26 cents away from 22 today, but let's see if Intel can show you some buying around 22. If it does hold off into 22, then you got a potential new range opening up where Intel consolidates in and then finally either breaks out or breaks back below. Right now we have a very defined support for the long-term traders, so until the stock really breaks below 1850, I don't think people are really scared about this stock. And I know a lot of people might just take profits on the way below 22 if they're long somewhere into 18 or something. So 22 will be a pretty important level. We'll have to wait and see how the stock trades around this level. Not really a high priority name tomorrow, but something to keep an eye on. It's almost like a simple, easy layup name just to keep in the name in the back of your head. What is it doing when the rest of the semiconductor names are moving? You're gonna have way better semiconductor names to keep an eye on, like Micron, Nvidia, TSM, ARM. You're gonna have way better semiconductor names to keep an eye on. Even AVGO pulling back quite a bit at the moment, almost going back into earnings anchored VWAP, where you can potentially see if it finds some buying and so on. So a bunch of levels coming into play. But Intel, just the easy layup. If it does manage to hold 22, you almost don't have to risk more than 5-10 cents, and you could just get 50 cents to $1 on that position. That's a monster risk to reward, right? So something to keep an eye on. Bitcoin sector pulling back pretty hard. Bitcoin actually pulled back, if I remember correctly. I can't remember actually. Let's just do math here. Pulled back 10%. Really? Damn. Bitcoin obviously pulling back into 60K. Did not manage to stay above 65 for too long. We had that pretty decent consolidation into 62, 63K, but on this pullback, it's staircase up, elevator down, or as I like to say, it's the escalators up and window down, right? Escalators up and you're jumping out the window down. Usually the nature of the stock market, very much the nature for Bitcoin. All right, so Bitcoin at the moment pulling back a little bit, pouring some weakness in its sector. So obviously looking to see if Coinbase, which already pulled back itself, MicroStrategy, another one that we like to trade, or IBIT, give you some trades along with the cryptocurrency move. So if cryptocurrency struggles, not sure that if war terror conversations really hurt Bitcoin, do they? I mean, let's go back to April. I mean, that really didn't do much for, I mean, yeah, it sold it a little bit, but didn't really do too much to it, did it? So I'm not really sure if it's gonna do anything to crypto as much as we see the reaction in US oil and what else is moving because of this? US oil and defense names like LMT and RTX. I'm not really expecting Bitcoin to have that much of an influence, but if Bitcoin obviously was sold off today a little bit, sells off tomorrow again and gets back below 60k, then obviously Coinbase, MSTR, and IBIT will be on watch to see if they can potentially give us some trades. Some ETFs to keep an eye on during this whole craziness: XLF, SMH. XLF is your banking sector. Right now looking like it's going to wedge out and potentially break down or break up. That will open up some names to keep an eye on, like Charles Schwab, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and all kinds of other fun names. Semiconductor industry, so SMH. If you're trading any of the semiconductor names, make sure you're having SMH open, or you are crazy. So make sure you have SMH open if you're doing any of the cryptocurrency, or if any of the semiconductor names trading. FXI, this is your Chinese ETFs, but you can also take a look at Yin, YINN, which is the 3 times leverage ETF bull, and Yang, Yin and Yang, which is a 3 times leverage ETF bear. So this is to the short side. If you are bearish Chinese market, you could go long Yang and look for this to bounce back up. But if you're bullish Chinese market, you can go long Yin and enjoy the ride in the Chinese market to the upside. Get it? So these are kind of like the SOXL. Well, that's the semiconductor one. These are kind of like the SQQQ and the TQQQs of the Chinese market. So Yin and Yang, the leverage ETFs, and you will have the FXI, which is the main one that I watch. FXI has pretty decent liquidity, so I would much rather just trade this one. Usually the reason to trade some of the 3 times leverage moves ones, obviously they give you a bigger move, but the main reason why leverage ETFs are juicy or more appealing to trade is because they have more liquidity. So instead of trading the QQQ, if you just trade the SQQ, you can take a lot more size, but the moves are also very relative. So you got to do the math, the calculations, make sure you're taking the same amount of risk, same amount of everything. So it's a little bit different when it comes to doing what people try to do on SQQ and try to do it on the Chinese ETFs. But hey, the options there for those of you who are interested: YINN and YANG. Prad, sorry I'm late. I smashed the like and see what is going on. John, thank you. Appreciate you. Sadly, you're coming in almost at the end of the stream here, so hopefully I do manage to give you some value. But hey, thank you for hitting the like. Appreciate it as always. Much love. Mucho obrigado. Mucho obrigado. How was the JD Vance? Is it done yet? Tim Ryan, is that the one? Looks like it's still going. Tim Walls. Wait, that's JD Vance? That's not JD Vance. Okay, that's JD Vance. That's what I thought. Who the hell is this guy? Oh, it's not on yet? It begins in 3 minutes. Oh, it starts at 9 p.m. Hey, maybe perfect time. Time for me to get off stream and you guys to go enjoy the vice presidential debate. which starts in 3 minutes, 9 p.m., hosted by CBC News. Hey, why am I giving shout out to CBC News? Fuck CBC News, dude. What the hell? Fuck CBC News. Fuck CBC News. We should start pitchforking about it. Okay, I'll stop. So real quick, just to name some of the stocks that I'm interested for tomorrow. Nike, we're seeing right now the range is between 80 to 85 for me. Under over 80, under over 85. XOM, under over 120, 121. Very, very simple trade. XOM is almost one of the highest priority names for me tomorrow because either we play long above 120, 121, or we play short below 120 and 121. And either way, it's going to give you a monster trade in my opinion. INDO is something that I would urge you to keep an eye on, even if you're scared to trade small cap oil names that can go absolutely crazy. I would urge you to keep an eye on it so you can get some reps in. The market is all about like the gym. The more you go to the gym, the more reps you get in you, the stronger that muscle gets. So if you want to build a muscle, you want to get better, you have to put that muscle to work. You have to strain it. So the first is to actually watching how it happens. Then the second is emulating it and trying it. I would never urge people to try anything on the live markets. Go do it on a paper account, see how it feels, see if you can understand it, and then go try to emulate on a real market. So if you haven't already traded any small cap names, I would urge you to at least watch INDO. Get those reps in, get that screen time built in. 10,000 hours, right? Get those screen time built in. The next few names are Lockheed Martin on RTX. Big monster move on both of these names. Usually moves like these are unsustainable, so either the stock manages to prove me wrong and sustain a move higher than today's high, or it rejects around today's high and pulls back to the south side, giving you some sort of a short setup. So RTX and Lockheed Martin, especially with the conflict that's been going on, usually these stocks pull back after a big move like this. For example, here is the April high. Right after creating some sort of a peak in April off of the catalyst moves, they pull back slightly and they give you a nice intraday short to play with. So looking for those opportunities on both of these names. Then you have the Chinese names. Was wrong not giving any care to these names today, but we'll fix that error by seeing if they actually bring in volume tomorrow off the open. If the relative volume off the open on the Chinese names is high, then we're gonna keep an eye on this name, on these names to see if they give you some sort of a possible trade opportunity. At the moment, most of these stocks, I'm looking for Friday's high to get held. I'm looking, you can see how I have Friday's high marked off. I'm looking for Friday's highs to get held on any sort of a pullback, and if they do, then it's almost game on to look for the long back into today's high or Monday's high at the very least, in my opinion. Very, very strong sector at the moment. Very, very strong sector. Semiconductor sector looking fairly weak. The ringleader for the semiconductor sector, Nvidia, is starting to get pulled back at the moment, going into a multi-anchored VWAP area. So either we hold in this area and chop around this area, or we finally pull back below this area and really look weak on the semiconductor sector. If the semiconductor sector overall looks weak, then one of the names that was extremely weak in the sector and had a stock split should now start making its descent to the downside even more. So ideally the stock should be in the $200, $100 price pre-split, and we're still in the $400 price post-split at the moment. So if this goes back into that $200, $300 area, then it's got a $10, $20 move to the downside. I'm not saying that happens in one day, but it can happen over the time of the next few weeks or so. So we're watching to see how the stock behaves under 40 and then under that $37 area, which was the most recent low that we made off of that news catalyst. So watching these couple price points over here on SMCI. ARM 135, it's basically under over 135 for me on ARM. Either you stay above 135 or you get back below, and you struggle to stay below that, you struggle to stay above that, especially because the semiconductor industry is pulling back. So you have two great shorts if the semiconductor industry is weak, and you got almost the whole sector to go long on if you want to get long on. Micron around 96, TSM looking to see a TSM pullbacks. Intel very easy long if 22 holds, and the sector is looking to go back up. So very good moves over here expected on the overall basket of names from the semiconductor basket. and last but not least, the cryptocurrency, the QQQ, the S&P 500, the ETFs themselves. So Monster bounced on the ETF from the last week's low. QQQ and the S&P 500 managed to bounce off of the last week low area, and that's the level I was talking about where the shorts really open up. If we got below 565 tomorrow, that really opens up the downside on the market, at which point it's game on for the shorts. That is really game on. So this is kind of why I was hesitant to go game on the shorts today, because I'm still waiting for 565 to break. That being said, I still went short on the market, right? I still went short on the S&P 500, and I caught about $1.50 move, whatever. I actually caught $2. I'm short 568. I got out 566. I still caught $2 move over there, so I'm not complaining. But really getting below 565 will be like a big FU to everybody who bought last week, everybody who bought this week, and the week before that. So it'll just a big middle finger to everybody, and the market will just start asking questions to all the buyers. Where is your stop? Where is your stop? Where is your stop? And if they are not going to answer that, the market will find their answer for them. The market will find the answer for them, and obviously that's never a good thing to be found out, right? Either you know your stop where the market's gonna find it, and if the market's on a hunt to find your stop, it's GG to your account at that point. You might as well stop trading for a little while. So looking for the opportunities below 565. However, the bounce on the market today was fairly strong. The conflict, as soon as they stopped talking about the conflicts on the news channels, I was watching NBC News Live if I remember correctly. As soon as they said they are letting people back out of the bunkers, boom, the selling just stopped. It was just like, it's like a green light turning to an amber to a red. It just slowed down, it just stopped, and then you just green light, and the cars just started taking off. So it was almost a crazy move like that off that news catalyst. So watching this one, obviously it's going to be very important to see if we get below this 566 565 area on the S&P 500. It's almost a much cleaner level on the daily chart to trade. Usually I like trading the QQQ more because it's the cleaner, and I only feel like it's cleaner because I keep a look at the Mag 7 all the time, but honestly it's not that clean at the moment. So the much cleaner levels to trade at the moment are obviously on the S&P 500. You just have a beautiful box between 570 and 565. Either we get above 575, or we get below 565. The S&P 500's ATR is $6.43. So let's get that move cracking. Let's get that move cracking and really start flushing into 560. Come on, that's exactly one ATR from today's low. That's full one ATR into 560. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I know you guys are like, Prad, this kid never gets tired of screaming bear, short. But hey, the conflict is scary. There's a short incoming. If the conflict's not scary, then just, you know, be happy with your positions for the long side, because the market's not pulling back anytime soon. It's simply not pulling back anytime soon. The fact that the way we bounced today was pretty insane. More consolidation in these ranges, if that's the case, until election. More consolidation in these ranges if that's the case until election. Or we actually break down before the election and get juicy to get bought up again for the election. So wouldn't that just be juicier? Wouldn't that just be better? Obviously they're not going to give you what you want. They're going to give you what you need. So we'll see what we get, and we're going to be happy with it. right chat? We're going to see what we get, and we're going to be happy with it. So my expectations are basically 565. 566 on the S&P 500. That's the more important ETF for me to keep an eye on than QQQ for a day trade opportunity. You could take a look at IWM, I guess, but I'm just gonna keep a look at S&P 500 instead for a day trade. The ES futures, that is, for anyone interested, but it's not the futures, it's the EF. I think I'll go to replay and see what I've missed when I get done. The vice president is nothing. The vice president is a nothing job, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, isn't the president a nothing job too? Like, really, what does the president really do? Please explain to me, what does the president really do in 4 years? What? Zilch. 4 years? Okay, maybe you win a second term. 8 years? Who really controls the president? Who really controls the president? You think Joe Biden was doing anything other than sleeping? Who really controls the president? Who's the puppeteer? Do we really think the president gets to do or say anything in this world? They're just scapegoats. They're like a coach of the team. The coach does nothing. It's LeBron who's going out there and dunking out of the on top of people's heads. It's LeBron and Kobe and Jordan who are winning the games. The coach did nothing. Maybe Phil actually did a lot of good things, so I won't say that. You know, Greg Popovich did a lot of good things, so I won't say that. But you know, Kobe. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice, not the game. Not the game. We're talking about practice, right? So it's I don't know. I don't think the president does anything. I think that's a nothing burger position. TH, are you shadow banned from my YouTube? I think TH is just shadow banned from YouTube again, dude. This is hilarious. Cause I see your message here, but I don't see it on the YouTube popped out chat window. That's actually crazy. Well, if it's Biden, you open the borders and let 2 million illegals. Yeah, you're 100% shadow banned on YouTube again, dude. Cause look, I don't see your message here at all. YouTube's getting you, TH. You said YouTube can kiss your ass? Well, they're gonna make you do it. They're gonna make you do it. Alright, chat. Let me just quickly show you guys how you can follow me and all the other fun stuff. Oh, actually, we're forgetting something. IPO calendar actually has a pretty big IPO tomorrow. And, what the fuck was that? And we have maybe some important economic calendar today. Let's see. We got OPEC meeting early morning. We got nothing really. ADP non-pharma employment coming out at 8:15. Crude oil numbers. Oil traders, especially with the current conflict situation in the Middle East, so obviously that's gonna help it out or break the trade. If these numbers come better, lower, then that also makes or breaks the XOM trade. So watching this one very closely. Make sure you're keeping an eye at 10:30 if you are trading the oil name. That's very important. These come out every Wednesday 10:30 and every Thursday 10:30. You have natural gas numbers, but looks like besides that, a pretty dead economic calendar. We do have Fed members coming on at 11 o'clock and at 12:15, but pretty dead economic calendar overall. I like the sound of that, but also usually that means volatility will slow down. Hopefully volatility stays juicy. We want more juice in the volatility side. Let's go to October and see what the highest offer amount is. So this one IPOing tomorrow. Sorrow Standard Aero. Is that aerospace defense? We got this one on the 9th of October. Oh, this one's also tomorrow? Oh my god. And then we got 4th. That one's 10 million. We don't really care about that. So we got two names really that we need to put in our watch list real quick. So let me just do that really quickly. Sorry, did not mean to do that. Let me just show you what I'm trying to do. Insert above watch list. Boom. FVR. Yeah, FVR.NY. Support, or I want the range 17 to 12. Offer or shares is that much. Offer amount is that much. One was below. This one was SARO.NY. Okay, usually 4-letter names are NASDAQ. I'm surprised to see these ones New York also. 60 million shares being offered. Okay, usually that means they have at least 600 or Wait, what am I saying? Usually that means they have 6 billion shares. If they have 6 billion shares, that's actually true. So for this, we're gonna use our trusty tool, stock analysis. Let's start with the smaller company, FVR, Front View REIT. Ah, man, REITs are usually boring. Boring. Let's go take a look at this. Negative operating margins, negative profit margins. Love to see that. In the last 12 months, operating cash flow was 11.2 million and capital expenditures were negative 103,000, giving the free cash flow to 11.12 million, okay? Company has 16.62 million in cash and 442 million in debt. Not looking good, but the debt's also not that big. How much revenue do you actually bring in? Not good at all. So you don't bring anywhere close to the amount of debt you have. So that's not a good number usually for me for looking for an IPO trade. This one is not really looking that good. How about we go to growth, revenue growth year over year? However, they are growing by 21.08%. What actually do you do? Huh? Is an internally managed net lease REIT that is experienced in acquiring, owning, and managing out parcel properties that are not leased to a diversified group of tenants. We own a well-diversified portfolio of 278 out parcel properties with direct frontage across 31 United States. Our tenants include service-oriented businesses such as restaurants, cellular stores, financial institutions, automotive stores and dealers, medicals and dental providers, pharmacies, convenience and gas stores, car washes, home improvement stores, grocery stores, professional services, as well as general retail tenants. Okay, we focus on investing primarily in well-located, net leased out parcel properties that provide high visibility to consumers. So in Dallas, Texas is there. What I also usually like to do, a little snooping. A little snoop. Where's your office actually located? Okay, that's a legitimate building. Wait a minute. That's a housing complex. That's not a working building. That's a housing complex. What the hell? Where in the hell? Yeah, I don't really like to trade REITs in the first place, so this one is almost very, very low in priority. Let's go to the second one instead. This one is a lot more important. So what do? Standard Aero is the world's largest independent pure play provider of the aerospace engine aftermarket services for fixed and rotary wing aircraft, service the commercial, military, and business aviation and markets. We provide a comprehensive suite of critical value-added aftermarket solutions, including scheduled and unscheduled engine maintenance, repair and overhaul, engine component repair, on-wing and field service support, asset management, and engineering solutions. We command a leading reputation that is based upon our strong track record of safety, reliability, and operational performance, built over more than 100 years of successful operations in the aerospace aftermarket. Interesting. Since I like airplanes so much, let's go take a look at what they actually do. Are these guys the fault? Trying to see who else they work with, but I guess they basically service airplanes for the most part. let's go take a look at their growth. So they are growing, but their growth declined quite a bit from 2022 to 2023. From 2021 to 2022, they were growing by about 19%, and then that dropped slightly by only to 9% into the next year. So we'll see. Looks like it's still growing. It says TTM. So we're still growing at the moment. It's growth. At the end of the day, they're growing, and you know, they are bringing in money. Let's see how the other part of the statistics are looking at the moment. So $10 billion valuation, obviously 60 million shares. They have 600 million shares. That's what I meant, not 6 billion. 600 million shares, almost. So 300 million shares is what they actually have, and they're offering 60 million. That's pretty good. No PE ratio, so not making money, I guess. Let's go take a look at their operating margins, 7%. Profit margins just barely negative. Last 12 months, operating cash flow 249 million. Capital expenditures minus 78 million, so positive cash flow. The company has 60.27 million in cash and 3.45 billion in debt. That's pretty normal for big aerospace companies like this, honestly. But that is quite a bit of amount in debt. But if you look at the revenue, their last 12 months revenue basically makes up for their debt, right? Their last 12 months of revenue, $4.84 billion in revenue, and they're growing. They're growing overall too, so that's pretty good to see. The rest of the numbers should say not available, not available. Yep, that they are not available. We saw those numbers already, and we know what they do. So hey, this looks pretty bullish, especially with how aerospace defense names all are catching some traction. This might be almost the perfect time for the stock to IPO to the point where if Lockheed Martin, RTX, and all are ripping tomorrow, and all of a sudden this stock IPOs, this one possibly catches a lot of traction to the upside off the IPO itself. It says it's opening around $20 to $23. Maybe, oh, I saw your comment over here. It says TH, not shadow banned on Trader TV Live over here. See, now it shows up, but notice how your previous comment doesn't show up. But then your new comment doesn't show up. In USA during war and dock strikes, more bad news. So it's very selective on what message it wants to show me and what message it does not want to show me. That's pretty strange. I wonder if there's a trigger for it. Oh, free advice guy. I just subscribed to your YouTube. Thought I already did that. Appreciate that, dude. You like YouTube or Twitch for streaming? I personally don't like Twitch for this content at all, because the discovery on Twitch is very low. At this point, the people who only go on Twitch are little kids who wants to beat off to ASMR, or really perverts who want to beat off to ASMR. And you know, for me, Twitch is completely rendered useless. I used to be a big go into Twitch guy. I would just come home, throw on my favorite streamer, XQC, throw him on, just have him playing in the background while I'm cleaning the house, while I'm watching, you know, charts, or while I'm getting ready to watch list. But now it's no longer Twitch at all. Twitch is just a useless platform, in my opinion. Honestly, it's a completely garbage platform. But sadly, there is no other competitor to them. There is Kick, but what am I going on Kick and just getting ad blasted about how I need to gamble all my money on their casino platform? No, thank you. So the only other option is YouTube. YouTube, obviously, live streaming on YouTube is not really as good as it should be for a platform like YouTube, but they're building on it. They're getting better. They are slowly expanding. They're adding more features every time. They're making it more discoverable. So I do like how YouTube is getting better. Obviously, stonks.com would have been a completely different experience, but that one had to shut down. It's almost like, you know, the CEOs did not really know what they wanted to do. They just kind of were giving this thing a shot, and they just did not like how expensive it got, because hey, the streaming business is not cheap. For them to even host just a couple of us being content creators on their website costed them, I bet you, a lot of money. They weren't displaying ads. They weren't getting a lot of views. People were only coming in there for their daily price pool money, and then as soon as the prize games were over, they would just log right off, right? So it's they got their money ran on. So Stonks would have been a good experience, but you know, they did not know how expensive it could have been. They just took on something that was possibly not in their in their budget. So I know that they're revamping, but it'll be interesting to see what they revamp to. Eventually, I would like to open up my own version of stonks.com with someone who is willing to fund it. Let's get some VCs going. Let's pitch them stonks.com, but the better version of stonks.com, and let's actually build a proper platform from ground up. And obviously it's gonna run red for the first 5-10 years like Twitch, but eventually Twitch gets bought out by who? Amazon.com, right? It gets bought out by Amazon for how much? Billions? $1 billion. $1 billion. All right. Saddleball stonks, yeah. I multi-stream to kick. The only message that comes through are trying to sell me something to grow my followers. Yeah, exactly. And that's what happens on Twitch too. It's like, hey, do you want to buy my art? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And then the random, I have one of my boys like you or Alpha or one of my other gaming friends who I used to stream to back in the day. So Twitch is just like a dead platform for me for views. Today, I don't think my YouTube is not getting a lot of views, it seems like, but usually I have like 10 viewers on here. That's a decent amount for me, but just gotta do more work. I need I'm very what it says, perfectionist when it comes to short form content. I don't really like my own short form content, but honestly, it's just putting them out there. Who cares if they're perfect or not? You just gotta throw them out there. That's all. So I gotta do more of that work. I'm lazy when it comes to that. But talking about being lazy or not, it's time to stop being lazy and go do some work. I have to do the garbage and a bunch of other chores. So ladies and gentlemen, time to play the outro. It's time for you guys to head out. You don't have to leave, but you do have to go. How it goes? Either way. Good luck on the markets tomorrow. Check out my link tree and all my other social media links down below. Use code PRAD15 at the checkout on Trade Ideas and TraderSync to get 15% off. Follow me on all my social medias to stay up to date on my trades, on when I go live and all other fun stuff. But I'll catch you guys tomorrow, Monday to Thursday, 8 o'clock, and Sunday 6 o'clock. This Sunday we actually have a fun surprise for you guys. We have a surprise guest coming. He is a financial advisor. He's a financial advisor that previously worked with Vanguard. That's all I'm gonna say. So we have a new guest appearance coming up this Sunday 6 p.m. so make sure you show up for that. Bring some questions, and obviously hopefully everyone stays safe in Israel, Iran, and all the conflict areas. And let's make some money tomorrow, baby. Good luck, boys and girls. TraderPrad out. Peace. We do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to. TraderSync. Promo code down below. Promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.